Hello students, in this video I will show you how to solve question number 2 from homework number 13, which is the hypothesis testing. The question says, test the claim that the proportion of men who own cats is significantly different than 20% at 0.01 significance level. The null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis would be, since we're talking about a proportion, the first thing you will need to do is to focus only on the proportions and ignore the mean, because we're not talking about the mean in this case. Next, we will see and look at the language of the question. It says significantly different than 20%. That means it is not equal to. So the alternative hypothesis suggests that the proportion is significantly different than 20%, which is this one. So that is the first answer. And as you can see, because it's not equal to, it's going to be a two-tailed test. So that is the second thing. Let me just submit my answer to make sure that I got this correctly. So next, we would like to compute the test statistic based on a sample of 70 and 17% owned cats of those 70 people. So P hat was given to us, which is 0.17, and P naught is the proportion of the null hypothesis, which is 20%. So we have that, we can come up with the test statistic. And since we do have the sample size, which is 70, we can use the formula for Z naught to compute the test statistic. So let's do that together. X is not given, N is equal to 70. P hat is given, which is the proportion of the null hypothesis, 0.20. Alpha is 0.01, that was given. P hat is given, which is 17%, which is 0.17. And then we want to find Z naught. Z naught, the formula for Z naught, which is the test statistic, is equal to P hat minus P naught divided by the square root of P naught times 1 minus P naught divided by the sample size. So I'm going to use this formula to compute Z naught right here. That is equal to, I'm going to put the numerator between parentheses because otherwise, Excel only would deal with P naught and divide it with the rest, and it's not going to subtract first and then divide. So P hat is 0.17 minus P naught, which is 0.20, divided by the square root, SQRT, of P naught. I'm going to click on P naught, times, open parentheses, 1 minus P naught. And then close the parentheses, divide that by the sample size, which is 70 in this case, and then enter. And this is Z naught. This is the statistic. I'm going to copy it and go ahead and paste it into this box. I rounded to 2 decimal places. And then we would like to find the positive critical value. So I'm going to draw the two-tailed test, and then I'm going to find the negative critical value and then multiply it with the -1 to turn it into a positive critical value. So I will do that here. I know that the two-tailed test would look like that. So here is one tail and here is another tail. The Z critical will be right here. The negative Z critical is going to be right here. And the positive one will be the same, but positive instead of negative. So it is sufficient to find a negative Z critical and then multiply it with -1 to turn it into the positive Z critical. I know that alpha is 0.01. That means alpha divided by 2, which is alpha is the area in both tails. This is alpha, which is 0.01. So we're going to divide this by 2. Alpha divided by 2 is 0.01 divided by 2. Which is equal to 0.005. Then I will go ahead and compute the Z critical using norm dot S because we're dealing with the Z scores, dot inverse because we have the area and we would like to find the number that is the cutoff for that area, or the bottom 0.5%. So 0.005. And the answer is going to be negative. We will turn it into a positive by multiplying with -1. So that is equal to norm dot S dot inverse of 0.005 and the answer is negative 2.58. I'm going to put it right here, and then I will remove the negative sign, and I will round it to 2 decimals. And let me check that one. And the answer is correct. Now let's look at what we have. Let's draw the area, and let's draw Z0 and Z critical, and let's see if we're going to reject the null hypothesis or fail to reject the null hypothesis. So here's the distribution, and here's one tail, and here's the second tail. This number we found out it is negative 2.58, so this one is going to be 2.58. Now P0 is negative 0.63. Negative 0.63 apparently is bigger than negative 2.58, and it's approximately, it's going to be here somewhere. It's going to be here somewhere. Let's say this is negative 0.63. As you notice here, that Z0 is between the two Z criticals. That means it is in the middle. This indicates that the sample proportion is not significantly far away from the population proportion. And as a result, we're not going to reject the null hypothesis, meaning we're going to fail to reject the null hypothesis. If Z0 happens to be either in this tail or in this tail, then we will reject the null hypothesis because it indicates that the sample proportion is too far away from the population proportion. As a result, we're going to reject the null hypothesis and we're going to support the alternative hypothesis. So let me put that option. So we're going to fail to reject the null hypothesis in this case. And let's submit the answer and see. And I see that the answer is correct. I hope this video helped you, and I will see you in a different one.